There's a specific moment when you realize someone you trusted has betrayed you. It's not always loud, not always obvious. Sometimes it's just silence, the kind that stretches on when you're expecting an answer, when your texts turn from blue to read but never replied to, when calls go straight to voicemail. When you realize you've been blocked. Her name was Rachel. We'd been friends for 6 years, met at work, bonded over terrible office coffee, and shared frustrations about our boss. She was funny, warm, easy to talk to, the kind of person who remembered your birthday and showed up when you needed her. Or so I thought. It started 8 months ago. She called me on a Tuesday night, voice shaking. "I need help," she said. "I'm in trouble." My stomach dropped. "What's wrong? Are you okay?" "I'm fine, physically, but I'm about to lose my apartment. I got behind on rent after my car broke down and I had to pay for repairs, and now my landlord is threatening to evict me. I have until Friday to come up with 3 months back rent or I'm out." "How much do you need?" She was quiet for a moment. $5,000. I felt the number settle in my chest. $5,000. That wasn't nothing. That was real money. Money I'd been saving for a down payment on a house. Money that had taken me 2 years to put aside. "I know it's a lot," she said quickly, "and I wouldn't ask if I had any other option. I've already asked my family, but they can't help. I maxed out my credit cards on the car. I don't know what else to do." "When would you pay me back?" 2 months, 3 at the most. I'm getting a raise in 6 weeks and my tax return should come through next month. I'll pay you back every cent, I promise. I'll even put it in writing. I wanted to say no. Every rational part of my brain was screaming at me to protect myself, to say I couldn't afford it, to suggest she find another solution. But this was Rachel, my friend, someone who'd been there for me when my mom was sick, who'd helped me move apartments, who'd listened to me cry over breakups and job rejections and all the small tragedies that make up a life. How could I say no? "Okay," I said, "I'll help you." The relief in her voice was immediate. "Oh my God, thank you so much. You're literally saving my life right now." "We should do this properly," I said. "I'll draft a simple loan agreement. Nothing complicated, just something that says you borrowed $5,000 and you'll pay it back by a specific date." "Of course, whatever you need, I'll sign anything." We met that Thursday at a coffee shop. I brought a printed loan agreement I'd found online and modified. It stated the amount, the payback date, 3 months from that day, and both our signatures. She signed it without reading it, hugged me tight, promised again that she'd pay me back as soon as possible. I transferred the money that afternoon, $5,000, clicked confirm and watched my savings account drop. But I felt good about it. I was helping a friend, being the kind of person who showed up when it mattered. For the first month, everything was fine. She texted me thank you messages, sent me funny memes. We met for lunch a couple of times. She didn't mention the money, and neither did I. I figured she was embarrassed, trying to act normal until she could pay me back. The second month, she started canceling plans, always with a good excuse. Work was crazy. She wasn't feeling well. Her car was acting up again. I didn't push, didn't want to make her uncomfortable. The third month came and went. The payback date passed. No money, no message about it. I waited a week, then sent a casual text. "Hey, just checking in about the loan. No rush, just wanted to see where you're at." She read it immediately, didn't respond. I waited 3 days, sent another message. "Rachel, everything okay?" Read no response. One more day, I called, straight to voicemail. That's when I knew something was wrong. I tried texting from a different number. It went through. She hadn't blocked that one yet. So I called from my work phone. She answered on the second ring. "Hello. Rachel, it's me. Why aren't you answering my calls?" Silence. "Then I can't talk right now." "When can you talk? You owe me $5,000 and you're ignoring me." "I know, I'm sorry. Things have been complicated." "Then talk to me. Tell me what's going on." "I can't do this right now," she said. Her voice had changed, colder, distant. "I have to go." She hung up. 5 minutes later, I tried calling back from that number. blocked. I stood in my kitchen, phone in hand, trying to process what had just happened. My friend of 6 years, had borrowed $5,000 from me and was now actively avoiding me. And I had no idea what to do about it. If this story speaks to you, subscribe to the channel for more real-life emotional journeys. The first few days after being blocked, I oscillated between anger and denial. Maybe there was a misunderstanding. Maybe she was going through something terrible and couldn't face me. Maybe her phone was broken, and that's why she wasn't responding. I made excuses for her because the alternative, that she'd deliberately stolen from me, was too painful to accept. I reached out to mutual friends, asked if they'd heard from her, if they knew what was going on. Most hadn't seen her in weeks. One mentioned she'd seemed distant lately. Another said she'd canceled plans without explanation. No one knew anything about the money. I hadn't told anyone about the loan. It felt private, between friends. Now I realized it just made me more isolated. I drove to her apartment one evening after work, knocked on the door, no answer, knocked again, nothing. I could hear a TV inside. Someone was home. "Rachel, I know you're in there. Please, just talk to me." Silence. I stood in that hallway for 10 minutes, feeling like an idiot, like someone begging for scraps of attention from someone who clearly didn't care. Finally, I left. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept running through our friendship, looking for signs I'd missed, red flags that should have warned me. But there was nothing. She'd always been reliable, always paid for her share of meals, never asked for money before this. What had changed? I started researching my options, found out about small claims court. You could sue someone for up to $10,000 in my state. The process seemed relatively straightforward. File a claim, serve the defendant, go to court. But I needed an address to serve her, and while I had her apartment address from before, I had no idea if she still lived there. She could have moved, could be anywhere. I decided to try one more time to reach out. Sent an email. She couldn't block email without me knowing. "Rachel, I don't understand what's happening. We've been friends for 6 years. You borrowed money from me when you needed help, and now you won't even talk to me. I'm hurt. I'm confused. I just want to understand. Please respond." 2 days passed, no response. Then on the third day, I got a reply. "I'm sorry for how this has gone. I'm dealing with a lot right now and I can't pay you back yet. I need more time. Please stop contacting me. I'll reach out when I can." That was it. No timeline, no acknowledgement of the signed agreement, no apology for blocking me and avoiding me for weeks. Just a vague promise to reach out when she can. Something hardened in me that day, a shift from hurt to resolve. This wasn't about friendship anymore. This was about respect, about honoring commitments, about not letting someone take advantage of me just because we had history. I started gathering documentation, the loan agreement with both our signatures, bank records showing the transfer, text messages where she'd promised to pay me back, the email exchange. I called the small claims court office, asked about the process. "You'll need to file a complaint," the clerk said, "pay a filing fee, serve the defendant with notice of the lawsuit, then you'll both come to court and a judge will hear the case." What if I don't know where she lives? "You need a valid address to serve her. Do you have any way to find out where she is?" "I have her old apartment address, but I don't know if she still lives there." "You can try that address. If service is unsuccessful, you can request permission from the court to serve her by alternative means, like publication in a newspaper or posting on her social media." It felt surreal, talking about suing someone who'd been at my birthday party last year, who knew my coffee order and my mother's name and all the small details that make up a friendship. But she'd made her choice. Now I had to make mine. I filed the claim the next week, paid the filing fee, filled out all the forms, listed her last known address. Then I had to arrange for someone to serve her, to physically hand her the legal documents notifying her of the lawsuit. I hired a professional process server, gave them her apartment address and a physical description of Rachel. If she doesn't answer the door, we'll try multiple times, he said. Different days, different times. We're pretty good at finding people. 2 weeks later, I got a call. Service was successful, the process server said. She answered the door on the second attempt, accepted the documents. My heart was pounding. What did she say? Nothing, just took the papers and closed the door. So she knew now, knew I'd filed a lawsuit, knew this wasn't going away. Part of me expected her to reach out, to call me angry or apologetic or something, to try to work it out before court. But she didn't. Radio silence. The court date was set for 6 weeks out, 6 weeks of waiting, of wondering what she'd say, if she'd show up, if I'd actually get my money back. I told a few close friends. What was happening, their reactions were mixed. Some supported me completely. She stole from you, you're doing the right thing. Others were more hesitant. Is it really worth losing a friendship over? Maybe give her more time. But that's the thing, the friendship was already lost. She'd ended it the moment she blocked me, the moment she decided my money was worth more than our relationship. I was just making it official. The waiting was the hardest part. Every day felt heavy with anticipation and dread. 3 weeks before the court date, something unexpected happened. I ran into Rachel's sister at the grocery store. I almost didn't recognize her. We'd only met a handful of times over the years, but she recognized me. "Hey," she said, approaching cautiously. "How are you?" I wanted to be polite, to make small talk and move on, but I couldn't. "Honestly, not great. Has Rachel told you what's going on?" She looked uncomfortable. She mentioned you guys had some kind of falling out. "A falling out," I laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Is that what she called it?" "What would you call it?" "She borrowed $5,000 from me, promised to pay it back in 3 months, then blocked me when the deadline passed. Now I'm suing her in small claims court." Her eyes widened. "Wait, $5,000? You didn't know?" "No, she told me you guys had a fight about something personal. She didn't mention money." "Of course she didn't." Rachel's sister looked genuinely distressed. "I'm so sorry. I don't even know what to say. That's not okay." "Do you know where she's living? I had her served at her old apartment, but I don't know if she's still there." She's still in the same place. She almost got evicted a few months ago, but she managed to work something out with her landlord. So the eviction threat had been real, but somehow she'd found a way to keep her apartment without paying me back. "Has she seemed different to you lately?" I asked. "I keep trying to understand what happened. We were fine and then suddenly she just cut me off." Rachel's sister hesitated. "Can I be honest with you?" "Please." Rachel has always been bad with money. She overspends, gets into debt, then panics and does whatever it takes to fix it in the moment without thinking about long-term consequences. I've lent her money before, small amounts, and it's always a struggle to get it back. "Why didn't you warn me?" "I didn't know she'd asked you, and honestly I didn't think she'd do this to a friend. Family is one thing, but you guys were close. I thought that meant something to her." We stood there in the frozen food aisle, 2 people connected by someone who'd let us both down. "For what it's worth," she said, "I think you're doing the right thing. She needs to face consequences. Maybe this will finally teach her." I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. "Good luck with the court case," she said. "I hope you get your money back." I went home and cried, not sad tears, angry tears, frustrated tears. Because this wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about the realization that I'd never really known Rachel at all. The person I thought was my friend, responsible, trustworthy, caring, was actually someone who'd lied to her family and her friends about money for years. Someone who made promises she never intended to keep. How had I missed it? The court date approached. I prepared my case, organized my documents, wrote out a timeline of events, practiced what I'd say to the judge. I was nervous. I'd never been to court before, never sued anyone. The whole thing felt surreal. The night before the hearing, I barely slept, kept running through scenarios. What if Rachel didn't show up? What if the judge didn't believe me? What if this whole thing was a waste of time? I got to the courthouse an hour early, sat in my car trying to calm my nerves. When I finally walked inside, the reality of it hit me. I was really doing this, taking my former friend to court over money she owed me. The waiting area was full of people, all there for their own small claims cases, landlord disputes, unpaid invoices, broken contracts. I sat down, clutching my folder of documents, and waited. 15 minutes before our scheduled time, she walked in. Rachel. I hadn't seen her in 4 months. She looked the same but different, tired, thinner. She scanned the room, saw me, and her face went pale. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Then she looked away, sat on the opposite side of the room, as far from me as possible. My hands were shaking. All the things I wanted to say to her crowded in my throat, all the questions, all the hurt. But this wasn't the place. We'd say what we needed to say in front of a judge. Case number 47-2023, a bailiff called. Thompson versus Martinez. That was us. We both stood, walked to the courtroom, sat on opposite sides. The judge entered, an elder woman with sharp eyes and no-nonsense demeanor. This is a small claims case regarding an alleged unpaid loan, she said, reviewing the file. Ms. Thompson, you're the plaintiff. Please state your case. I stood, took a breath, and told my story. Like this video if this story touched something inside you. I explained everything to the judge, how Rachel and I had been friends, how she'd asked for help, how I'd lent her $5,000 with a signed agreement, how she'd stopped responding when the payment was due. I presented the loan agreement, the bank transfer, the text messages, the email where she'd asked me to stop contacting her. The judge reviewed each document carefully, asked a few clarifying questions, then turned to Rachel. Ms. Martinez, what's your response? Rachel stood. She looked nervous, fidgeting with the papers in front of her. Your Honor, I did borrow the money, and I did intend to pay it back, but my financial situation got worse, not better. I lost my job 2 months after taking the loan. I've been doing gig work to survive. I barely have enough to pay rent and buy food. I can't pay her back right now. Did you communicate this to Ms. Thompson? Rachel hesitated. I tried, but it was hard. I was embarrassed. I didn't know what to say. You blocked her phone number and ignored her messages, I said, unable to stay quiet. That's not trying to communicate. The judge held up a hand. Ms. Thompson, you'll have a chance to respond. Ms. Martinez, did you block the plaintiff? Yes, Rachel admitted quietly. I did. I was overwhelmed and I didn't know how to handle the situation. I made a mistake. When did you lose your job? Early September. And when did you borrow this money? Late June. The judge made a note. So you had the money for approximately 2 months before losing your job. Did you make any payments during that time? Rachel's face flushed. No, Your Honor. I was trying to get ahead on other bills. I thought I'd have the full amount by the due date. But you didn't inform Ms. Thompson of your plan or your subsequent job loss. No. Why not? I was ashamed. I didn't want her to know I'd failed. The judge looked at her for a long moment. Ms. Martinez, shame is understandable, but it doesn't excuse you from your legal obligations. You signed a contract. You borrowed money. You owe a debt. I know, Your Honor. I want to pay her back. I just need time. You've had 8 months. I know, but I lost my job. You've stated that. What's your current employment situation? I'm doing delivery driving. DoorDash, Uber Eats. It's inconsistent, but I'm making enough to survive. The judge turned to me. Ms. Thompson, do you want to respond to anything you've heard? I stood again. My voice was steadier now. Your Honor, I understand that Rachel lost her job. I understand that life happens and circumstances change. But she didn't tell me. She didn't ask for more time. She didn't try to work out a payment plan. She just disappeared, blocked me, pretended I didn't exist. That's not how you treat someone who helped you when you needed it. I paused, feeling emotion rising in my throat. This wasn't just about money for me. This was about trust, about friendship. I would have worked with her if she'd been honest, but she chose to lie and hide instead, and that's why I'm here. The courtroom was quiet. The judge was writing notes. "Your Honor," Rachel said suddenly, "I am sorry. I was wrong to handle it the way I did. I should have been honest, but I'm asking you to please give me more time. I can't pay $5,000 right now. I just can't." The judge set down her pen. "Ms. Martinez, the evidence is clear. You borrowed money with a signed agreement to repay it. You failed to do so. The court finds in favor of the plaintiff." Relief washed over me, but the judge wasn't done. "However, I'm going to structure this judgment in a way that accounts for your current financial situation. You are ordered to pay Ms. Thompson the full amount of $5,000, plus court costs and interest, but you may do so in monthly installments of $250, beginning 30 days from today. If you miss a payment, the full amount becomes due immediately, and Ms. Thompson may pursue wage garnishment or other collection methods." Rachel's shoulders sagged. $250 a month for how long? The judge did the math. 20 months, assuming you make every payment on time. "Your Honor, I can barely afford that." "Ms. Martinez, you had 8 months to figure this out, to communicate with Ms. Thompson, to propose a payment plan. You chose not to. This is a consequence of your choices. If you cannot afford this payment plan, I suggest you find additional work or cut unnecessary expenses. The judgment stands." She banged her gavel. Next case. It was over just like that, 10 minutes in front of a judge, and I had my answer. I'd won, but I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty. Rachel left the courtroom quickly, didn't look at me, didn't say anything. I gathered my documents and walked out into the bright afternoon sun. My phone rang. It was my mom. "How did it go?" she asked. "I won. She has to pay me back, $250 a month." "That's good, honey. That's what you wanted." "Yeah. You don't sound happy." "I don't know what I feel." "That's normal. These things are never as satisfying as we think they'll be." She was right. I'd imagined this moment would bring closure, relief, justice. Instead, I just felt sad that it had come to this, sad that a friendship I'd valued was really, truly over. I drove home in silence, trying to process everything that had happened. That evening, I got a text from an unknown number. "This is Rachel. I'm sorry it came to this. I'll make the payments, I promise." I stared at the message for a long time, thought about responding, about saying something kind or forgiving or understanding. But I didn't. I deleted the message and blocked the number. Because I was done being understanding, done making excuses for someone who'd shown me exactly who she was. Share this with someone who might need to hear it. The first payment came exactly 30 days later. $250 appeared in my bank account with a memo, payment 1 of 20. No personal message, no apology, just the transaction. I felt a strange mix of emotions, relief that she'd actually followed through, resentment that it had taken a court order to make her do the right thing, sadness that this was what our friendship had become, a series of mandatory payments and nothing more. The second payment came on time too, then the third. She was actually doing it, slowly, methodically, paying back what she owed. I started to relax a little. Maybe this would actually work out. Maybe I'd get my money back and we could both move on with our lives. But then the fourth payment didn't come. I waited 3 days past the due date. Nothing. Checked my bank account obsessively. Still nothing. According to the court judgment, if she missed a payment, I could pursue the full remaining balance immediately. I called the courthouse, asked about my options. "You can file for wage garnishment," the clerk said. "Since you have a judgment, you can request that money be taken directly from her paycheck." She doesn't have a regular paycheck, she does gig work. That makes it more complicated. You might need to hire a collections agency or wait to see if she resumes payments. I hung up, frustrated. 2 more days passed, then I got a text from that same unknown number. I'm sorry about the late payment. I had an emergency car repair. I'll send the payment plus late fee by end of week. I didn't respond, but I waited. True to her word, the payment came. $275 this time, the regular payment plus a small late fee. This became the pattern. Most months the payment came on time. Some months it was late, always with an excuse: medical bill, car trouble, unexpected expense. But she kept paying. 6 months in, I'd received about $1,500. Still a long way from $5,000, but it was progress. I thought about Rachel sometimes, wondered how she was doing, if she was okay, if she still thought about our friendship. But I never reached out, never broke the silence. Then, about 8 months into the payment plan, I saw her. I was at a restaurant with some friends, celebrating a promotion at work, and there she was, 3 tables over, laughing with people I didn't recognize. Our eyes met across the room. For a moment, neither of us moved, just stared at each other like 2 strangers who used to know everything about each other. Then she looked away, back to her friends, back to her life that didn't include me. I tried to focus on my own table, my own friends, my own celebration, but I kept glancing over, watching her. She looked happy, healthier than she'd looked in court, like things were going better for her. Good, I thought. I wanted her to be okay. Even after everything, I didn't wish her harm. But I also didn't miss her, didn't miss the friendship, didn't miss the person I thought she was. That realization was both freeing and sad. When I got home that night, I looked at the payment tracker I'd been keeping. 18 payments received out of 20, only 2 more months, and this would all be over. I could close this chapter completely. 1 year after filing the lawsuit, the final payment came through. $250, payment 20 of 20. $5,000 fully repaid, plus court costs, plus late fees, all accounted for. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the bank notification, and I cried. Not from joy, not from relief, just from the weight of it all, the entire journey, the betrayal. The court case, the year of payments, the loss of someone I'd thought would be in my life forever. I waited for some sense of completion, some feeling that justice had been served and everything was right again. But it didn't come. The money was back in my account, but I'd lost something that couldn't be repaid: trust, a friendship, a piece of my belief that people would do the right thing without being forced. I thought about reaching out to Rachel, sending a final message, thanking her for following through on the payments, wishing her well. But I didn't. Some doors, once closed, should stay closed. Instead, I transferred the $5,000 back into my savings account, added it to my house fund, decided that something good should come from all of this. 6 months later, I used that money, plus everything else I'd saved, to put a down payment on a small condo. My own place, bought with money I'd almost lost but fought to get back. There was something poetic about that. Leave a comment below. I read every single one. Moving into my new place felt like starting over. Fresh walls, new furniture, no memories attached to any of it. I threw a small housewarming party, close friends only, people I trusted, people who'd supported me through the whole situation with Rachel. One friend asked, "Do you ever think about reaching out to her, now that it's all over?" I considered the question, sometimes, but I don't think there's anything left to say. Do you forgive her? I don't know, maybe I forgave her when I decided to file the lawsuit instead of just writing off the money and staying bitter. Maybe forgiveness and friendship aren't the same thing. Another friend chimed in, "Would you ever lend someone money again?" That made me pause, would I? Not that amount, I said finally, and not without seriously thinking about whether I could afford to never see it again. I learned something important: never lend money you can't afford to lose, and never assume friendship is enough collateral. That's kind of cynical, someone said. Maybe, or maybe it's just realistic. The conversation moved on to other topics, but I kept thinking about those questions. Had I become more cynical, more guarded. Had this experience changed me in ways I didn't want to be changed? I thought about the person I was before I lent Rachel that money, more trusting, more willing to see the best in people, more likely to put friendship above self-protection. Was that person naive or just kinder? I wasn't sure. A few months after moving in, I was going through old photos on my phone, deleting ones I didn't need to make space. I came across pictures of Rachel and me, birthday parties, weekend trips, random moments captured over 6 years of friendship. I stared at those photos for a long time, at our smiling faces, at the easy affection between us, at the version of us that had existed before money got in the way. I didn't delete them, but I didn't keep them in my main photo album either. I moved them to a folder labeled Archive, a place for memories that were real but no longer active. That felt right, acknowledging what we'd been without pretending it could be again. 1 year after the final payment, I ran into Rachel's sister again. Same grocery store, different aisle. "Hey," she said warmly, "how are you? I heard you got a condo. Congratulations." "Thanks, how's everything with you?" "Good, busy, the usual." She paused. "Can I ask how things ended with Rachel? With the payments, I mean." "She paid everything back. Took a year, but she did it." "I'm glad for both of you." She hesitated. "She's doing better now, I think. Got a full-time job a few months ago. Seems more stable." "That's good. I hope it works out for her." "Do you think you'll ever talk to her again?" I thought about it. Probably not. Too much has changed, but I don't wish her any harm. I hope she learned something from all this. I think she did. She mentioned once that losing your friendship was the hardest part, not the lawsuit or the payments, just knowing that she destroyed something that mattered. Those words sat heavy in my chest. She destroyed it the moment she decided to hide instead of being honest. I know, I told her that too. We finished our conversation and went our separate ways, but her words stayed with me. Rachel had said losing our friendship was the hardest part. Good, I thought it should be. Because that's the real cost of betrayal, not the money, not the court case, not even the time and energy spent fighting for what's yours. It's the relationships you damage, the trust you break, the people you lose because you chose the easy way out instead of the honest one. I hoped that lesson stuck with her, that she'd think twice before doing this to someone else. But that wasn't my responsibility anymore. I'd done what I needed to do, protected myself, set boundaries, followed through. Now I was just living my life, in my condo, with my real friends, building something that belonged to me. And that was enough. 2 years after everything ended, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten, my name and address on the envelope, in handwriting I recognized immediately. Rachel. I stared at it for 10 minutes before opening it, wondered what she could possibly have to say after all this time. Finally, I opened it. The letter was 2 pages long, her handwriting small and careful. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, it started, and I understand if you throw this away without reading it, but I needed to write this, even if you never respond. I'm sorry, I've said that before, but I don't think I really understood what I was apologizing for until recently. I've been in therapy for the past year, working through a lot of things, and I've realized how deeply I hurt you. It wasn't just about the money, it was about the lying, the hiding, the choosing to protect myself instead of honoring our friendship. You were there for me when I needed help, and I repaid you by disappearing. I can't change what I did. I can only tell you that I've learned from it. I don't handle money the same way anymore. I don't make promises I can't keep, and I don't hide from my mistakes. I know we'll never be friends again. I know I destroyed that, but I wanted you to know that you were right to hold me accountable. The lawsuit, the payments, all of it, it forced me to grow up in ways I'd been avoiding for years. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're happy. I hope someday you can think about our friendship and remember the good parts without the ending overshadowing everything. Take care. Rachel. I read the letter 3 times, set it down, picked it up and read it again. Part of me wanted to be angry, to think it was too little, too late, to dismiss it as an attempt to make herself feel better. But another part of me recognized something genuine in those words, something that sounded like actual growth, not just empty apology. I thought about responding, writing back, saying, "What? I forgive you, I don't forgive you, I appreciate the letter." All of it felt incomplete. So I did something different. I wrote my own letter, not to her, but to myself. A letter acknowledging everything I'd learned from this experience, the good and the bad, the ways it had changed me, the ways I didn't want it to change me. I wrote about trust, how it's both precious and fragile, how you can't live a full life without extending it, but you also can't be reckless with it. I wrote about boundaries, how saying no doesn't make you selfish, how protecting yourself is necessary, how you can be kind and still hold people accountable. I wrote about friendship, how it requires honesty and effort from both sides, how history doesn't obligate you to accept poor treatment, how sometimes loving someone means loving them from a distance. I wrote about money, how it reveals character, how you should never lend more than you can afford to lose, how financial boundaries are just as important as emotional ones. And I wrote about forgiveness, how it's not a switch you flip but a process you walk through, how you can forgive someone without reconciling, how letting go of anger doesn't mean excusing what happened. When I finished, I put the letter in an envelope addressed to myself, sealed it, put it in a drawer. Someday, maybe years from now, I'd open it and read it, remember this moment, remember who I was and who I became. As for Rachel's letter, I kept it, not in a place of honor, but not thrown away either, just filed with other important documents, evidence of a chapter that was closed but not forgotten. I never wrote back to her, but I didn't feel guilty about that. Some conversations are complete even in their silence. Subscribe to the channel for more real-life, emotional journeys like this one. 3 years after filing the lawsuit, I was at a coffee shop working on my laptop when someone sat down at the table next to mine. I glanced up out of habit and my heart stopped. Rachel. She hadn't seen me yet, was ordering at the counter, her back to me. I had a choice. I could leave before she turned around, pack up my laptop and disappear, avoid the awkward interaction entirely. Or I could stay, face this moment, see what happened. I stayed. She turned around with her coffee and scanned for a seat, saw me, froze. For a long moment, we just looked at each other. Then, tentatively, she walked over. "Hi," she said quietly. "Hi. Can I sit for a minute? If not, I understand." "It's fine," I said. "Sit." She sat down, setting her coffee on the table with shaking hands. "I didn't expect to see you here," she said. "Yeah, small world." Silence settled between us, uncomfortable but not hostile. "Did you get my letter?" she asked finally. "I sent it a while ago. You never responded, so I assumed." "I got it." "Lo." "Okay, did you write it?" "Yes." More silence. "I meant everything I said," she continued. "I know it doesn't change anything, but I wanted you to know that." I took a sip of my coffee, considering my words carefully. "I believe you," I said. "I think you've grown. I think you learned something from what happened, and I'm glad for that." Hope flickered in her eyes. "Does that mean?" "It doesn't mean we're going to be friends again," I said gently but firmly. "Too much happened. Too much trust was broken. But it does mean I don't hate you. I don't wish you harm. I hope you're doing well." The hope faded, replaced by acceptance. "I understand. Thank you for saying that much." "You're welcome." She picked up her coffee, started to stand, then paused. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Do you regret it, filing the lawsuit, or do you think you would have been better off just letting it go?" I thought about that question, really thought about it. "No," I said finally, "I don't regret it. If I'd let it go, I would have spent years being angry and resentful. The lawsuit gave me a way to stand up for myself, to say this mattered and you can't just take from people without consequences. It wasn't about revenge. It was about respect, for myself and for what we'd had." She nodded slowly. "That makes sense. I hated you for it at the time, but looking back, I needed it. I needed someone to hold me accountable instead of just enabling me or cutting me off quietly. I'm glad it helped. Me too, she picked up her coffee. Take care of yourself. You too, Rachel. She walked away, out of the coffee shop and back into her life. I sat there for a few minutes, processing what had just happened. It felt complete, not happy or sad, just complete. We'd said what needed to be said, acknowledged what had happened, and let each other go. That evening, I called my mom and told her about the encounter. How do you feel about it? She asked. Okay, actually, it was strange but not terrible. I think we both got closure. Good, I'm proud of you, for how you handled all of this. You could have let it destroy you or make you bitter, but you didn't. I tried not to. Some days were harder than others. That's life. The hard days make the good ones matter more. After we hung up, I thought about that, about how this experience had shaped me. I was more careful now, more aware of my boundaries, less willing to sacrifice my own well-being for the sake of keeping peace. But I hadn't become cynical, hadn't closed myself off completely. I still had friends I trusted, still lent people small amounts of money when they needed it, still believed in the goodness of people. I just learned to protect that goodness, to not let it be taken advantage of. That felt like wisdom, not bitterness. 5 years after the loan, 4 years after the lawsuit, 3 years after the final payment. I was sitting in my condo, fully paid off now, looking at my life and feeling genuinely grateful. For the lessons learned, for the boundaries set, for the person I'd become. Rachel had taught me something valuable, even if she didn't mean to. She taught me that you can be kind and still be strong, that you can forgive without forgetting, that you can move on without needing the other person's permission or participation. And most importantly, she taught me that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just living well, building a good life, being surrounded by people who value you. That's what I had now, and no amount of money could buy it. I never heard from Rachel again after that day in the coffee shop. I didn't look for her on social media, didn't ask mutual acquaintances about her. I just let her be part of my past, a chapter that taught me something important but didn't define my whole story. And I kept moving forward, building my life, trusting carefully, loving fully. Because that's what you do when someone teaches you a hard lesson. You take what you learned and you use it to become better, not bitter. You forgive when you're ready. You set boundaries when you need to. You protect your peace without closing your heart. And you remember that your story isn't over just because one chapter ended badly. There are still so many pages to write, so many good things to come. So you keep going, keep growing, keep choosing yourself. And that, in the end, is the best outcome of all.